process with them. It's something about the visuals that drive them crazy, and I can't quite figure out what they need me to do differently. Anyway, it's in process.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to tell you what I did.
Okay.
I spent the last book that I uploaded was which book was the guide to the holistic
Hmm.
system, and they were having a real issue with the cover.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I tried, and I gave up. Hired somebody to fix that for me
Mm-hmm.
because what she charged me, and that would be the wonderful Angie Coates, by the way,
Mhm.
what she charged me to fix my cover so I can get my book printed was worth every dime.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. If it was just the cover, but it's like in the book, each chapter has this visual. And for some reason, that visual, the parameters of that visual are messing with them. Like there are pictures everywhere. There's all
Mm.
kinds of stuff going. Anyway, we're having talks. It hasn't gone well yet. I'll figure it out.
It's you'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. But at the moment,
Mhm.
you can get it off Gumroad as an ebook, and you can read it on your reader, or as Mary said, you can definitely print it out if you want to work on the exercises
Yeah,
in the book.
for me that's key. So that when I'm figuring out where I'm having a little bit of trouble, I could do the exercises and get better clarity on what it is I need to do, and in my words, be able to suck it up and move on.
Yeah. I
I
mean, I'm
like
very
that.
practical.
Okay, so it is a very very practical
Yeah,
book.
it's I'm a very practical writer.
All right. Um, any questions from either one of you on my thoughts on the book?
I'm good.
I don't
Oh,
know,
you're
Sacheen. Do you have something on that one?
Yeah, no, I think I'm good.
Would you? I guess here's my thing. Would you can? Is it more of a beginner, advanced, middle ground? Someone who's looking to um, get started into the anxiety side? Is it good for people who are sort of self-aware of that?
I first of all, I think it is excellent for somebody who is self-aware that they realize
Okay.
that they're dealing with anxiety
Yeah.
and they're looking for a practical way of working around it before even seeking professional help. Right?
Okay.
If you've gotten to the stage where you need professional help with your anxiety,
Mhm.
I think it's good as an add-on. All right.
Yeah.
So talk to whoever you need to talk to, but in fact, I'd bring it to whatever session you were at, and maybe even go over them with the therapist on where they see you need help, or maybe to add some more extra suggestions in there. I think it's a good all around book, but particularly if you are aware that you have anxiety
Yeah.
and you want to figure out a plan to work around that.
Okay. One more question in that one too. Because I am always looking for books to refer to business owners. Is it a good book for them to learn how to work with employees? Not necessarily business ownership, but can you take what's in it and utilize that into your employees and help train them with what you've learned?
I think so too. If
Okay.
you are that, first of all, if you're that type of boss
Which I
that
am.
if you're that type of boss where your employees' mental health is important to you, I
Mhm,
think giving them the tools, you can't do the work
mhm.
for them.
Yeah.
No, 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 no.
I can't hand this to like, all right, so Denise, being as Denise is working with me with the profession, the Pacific Northwest Grooming Conference, she knows exactly some of the things that I need to do, but I still can't like hand it to her, tell her, fill this out for me. Okay. I have to
Mhm.
do it and I have to implement it. So, um, does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, I think I hear a lot of people. So, what I typically get, and a lot of people want to like lead like I do, but I think a lot of people don't realize how much work goes into learning how people tick, how to work employees through. And I'm always really big on learning that stuff. So that's why I do generational reading. I love learning, and it helps me. Like, come on, like I'm not anxiety ridden for heaven's sakes. So I love to do that, and I love to give business owners who want to do employees and have employees on staff and go that route. Um, that I love giving them easy to read tools that they could go ahead and potentially take, because what I have and what I do is all very specific to learning how people are and helping and just being that go-to person. So my work culture is creating a safe space.
Okay.
Um,
So the only thing you would have to be aware of is which of your employees needs it printed out and which of them need to work it on a tablet.
okay. Yeah, no, I like giving, or even if it's the knowledge that I could pass down to them without them even having to do the work, because, sometimes they don't have the time. So I like learning what I can pass down whenever. No,
Okay.
I'm excited. I can't wait to read it because I like easy reads too.
It's a
Okay.
very easy read.
Hmm.
When it comes to things like this, I like straight and to the point.
Okay.
Me too.
Sacheen, what book did you choose?
I chose the book I've been actually talking to you about a couple of times. I think I've mentioned it on the show. I have to grab it again. Life Unlocked. Thought this would be a good day to review it. It's written by Dr. Pillay. I don't try to pronounce his first name because I never can. Harvard Medical School, and he's a psychiatrist, professor of psychiatry at Harvard Med, and former director of Outpatient Anxiety Disorders Program and the Panic Disorders Research Program at McClellan Hospital. So he comes with some chops, which I can appreciate when you're talking about it. So, whereas my book is very much a reader type book, this one is a much more clinical, in depth type tome. So, if you're on your journey of understanding how to, as he says, 7 revolutionary lessons to overcome fear. And he's talking about not just anxiety, but the underpinnings of how the amygdala triggers anxiety and how your body then deals with the issues of anxiety and how that falls into different categories. And what I really appreciate about this is that he's got several chapters I think are really beneficial. One is the science of overcoming dread, that feeling that we all have from time to time,
Mm,
but may not actually have it defined in a way that we can do something about it. And so he breaks it down so that we can do something about it. He focuses on the biology and the mental aspects. He's a psychiatrist. So he's looking at not just mentally what's happening, but also physically what's happening, which is what psychiatry tends to do. He also has a chapter on the fear of success, which many a business owner runs headfirst into
mhm,
as they begin to grow and get that success and immediately begin finding stumbling blocks along their own journey because their amygdala is kicking in a latent fear of success that they may not even be aware that they have. And so I really appreciate the fact that he does talk about, I think, what are the big categories of what we tend to fear. He has a process that he calls the MAP process, and that is meditation, attention, and psychological tools. And with this three map process is how he says we work through our anxiety, how we get the amygdala to stop looking for the negative, the fear factor, the fear trigger, and bring our attention. So we meditate, we bring our attention to the place where we need to get it brought to. But then there are tools that he says we can then use to help us overcome the things that are standing in our way. It is a dense read. I will be the first person to say that, but I like a dense read when I'm really trying to understand a deep process. And anxiety can be a very deep process, especially if you are afraid of success. If you have the, and everyone feels
mhm,
dread. So it is, like I said, it's a dense read, about 250 pages, and a list of references in the back that rival any any book I've ever seen. So if you're like, where did he get this information from? He cites his sources and he gives you a glossary and in the back so you can go back to things that are important to you. So he really lays it out like a textbook, but it isn't written over my head, which I think will be appreciated for our audience in that
mhm,
he may be writing at a very deep level, but he's writing on a very human level. He's making sure that if you pick this book up, you won't put it down because it's so far in the technical realm that you're like, I don't know what any of that
mhm,
means. And so it might be helpful, but I can't really read it because I got to find a dictionary every 2 seconds to figure out what it means. No, as he says, 3 important principles of success: be specific, believe it, and go be action oriented. Straight to the point. He then backs all that up with a bunch of science, but his writing is such that you're like,
mhm.
okay, I get that. I can do that. I get that. So Life Unlocked: 7 Revolutionary Lessons to Overcome Fear. Dr. Pillay, I highly recommend it. I've had it for years. I read it at least once a year.
Okay.
I love that. I love rereading when you're at a different point in your
Yeah,
life too.
yeah,
Hmm.
All right. So my question is, so it's seven. He's broken it down into seven.
hmm
Okay.
7 lessons. Yes.
7 lessons.
hmm
So if you were to sit down and say, um, one lesson, what kind of time are you looking to spend? If you just want to read it and spend a little time on one section before moving on,
I would
what's the
say,
investment time in a book like this?
this is not a book that you speed read through. I think this is a book where you take a chapter in a season and you sit with that chapter. So, for example, chapter 4: if it's hard to change, it's not unchangeable. I spent a lot of time in that chapter. And I think you
Mm.
give yourself permission to take the time to figure out, how does this apply to my life, and then do something with that information. So it's not going to be a weekend read. It's not a take it to the beach and finish in the weekend. It's more like this is a seasonal book that I'm going to read for a season.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Other questions? Any other questions?
I'm excited to read that because I had messaged you and asked about it because
Yeah.
I love hearty content. I
Yeah.
like that it's written easy. I've read a lot that aren't written real easy, but
Yeah.
Flow is one of them. I don't even think I've made it through that one yet. There were a few other ones that I've read that so I like that it's easy with girth. I love
Yeah,
I love
there's meat
suspense.
to those bones, but it's not so meaty that you're like, I can't chew on this. There's sinew
Hmm.
between my teeth and I can't get it out and it's driving me crazy. I mean, I've got stuff in the margins. This book, as you can see, the pages are rather yellowed. I read this a lot. But I don't read it through every time I read it because everything isn't relevant for every season. That's why I said this is a seasonal read more than you'll read it the first time and go, let me go back to this chapter because that really spoke to me, and you'll spend some time there.
Okay.
I like that.
Okay. You're up, Denise.
So I read a lot of self-help books, and throughout the years, I've been through a lot of life changes and went through a really big change around 2019, 2020, 2021, around that era. And I actually went through a really dark period for quite a few years, and I crawled myself out of there by doing a lot of reading, being self-assessing, and stuff like that. So when I sat back and I thought about different books that have really helped me because I haven't had time to read anything new, um, like what was one of those? And there's so many of them, but I think I keep seeing a lot of, I don't know, I keep seeing a lot of, so if Nina's watching this from Groom House, she actually started this. She had made a post about someone asking her how often she feels joy or to define what joy feels like, and she couldn't do it. And I started thinking, and I there are very few, like, I do think joy is one of those emotions that we like to transpose with other ones and we don't realize. Anyway, so it got me thinking down this rabbit hole, and I just remembered and a few other things that have been happening personally, that when we can define what our emotions are, it is so much easier to move forward. So I chose to talk about tonight Brene Brown's Atlas of the Heart. And I don't know if you guys have ever read that one or know what it's about. No? Oh my God, I love it. So she goes through so we sit there and we think of the four. I always like to I like to compare it to like Inside Out, if you guys watch Pixar's Inside Out, and the four emotions. Like if you ask how many or people how many emotions we have, it's happy, sad, fear, it's those core emotions. And she goes through and defines 88 emotions and goes through the genres of what those are. So what happiness would be, and like actually it would go into and define it. So it is a whole book of just defined emotions, and how to put words to that. So, like, one of the really cool ones, and this sort of got brought up in some different instances that have been brought up, like jealousy and envy. We usually say we're envious of someone or we're jealous of someone, and we actually, by definition, we actually have the opposite. So
Hmm.
usually we're envious of somebody, not jealous of somebody. And
Right.
I wanted to bring this up because I think we don't know how to define our emotions. The
Mm.
vocabulary is very limited, and I see it all the time, or I see it a lot, I guess I should say. I notice a lot in my sometimes my receptionists when I hire them. They use the term a customer yelled at me.
No.
And really, it was a customer may have just been direct, but we instantly go to yell or we go to something that's negative.
Mm.
And when we can sit back and we know the definition of different emotions, and you can, not that I'm going to remember all 88 emotions that she went ahead and described and, defined this book, but when I can go back and even Google, there is an emotion wheel that you can look at that has over 100 emotions on it and try to define. It is so much easier to work through problems. It is so much easier to work with employees or the general public, own personal relationships when you can define that. So I've been seeing quite recently a lot of generalization and a lot of anger, happy. And I think for Nina, I think she just doesn't know how to define what joy actually is because we don't know what I don't think she just knows that definition, and maybe has experienced it but doesn't really know what that entails, or maybe she hasn't. Maybe it's been something. So, Nina bringing that up, if you're watching this at any point, it really just sparked that. And I just thought it's a really cool, easy read that if you want to learn more about yourself or other people, it is really intriguing. It helps with your interpersonal relationships and when you can define that and not just be happy, sad, or mad.
Mm.
So that was my book I wanted to talk about. It's a really cool book. So I chose that one because I think it could help a lot of people in various ways.
Well, first thing I did is I went over to Amazon.
Of course you did.
Of course I did. And I had the call them feelings wheel.
Yeah.
They're like $10. They're
Hmm.
probably just a wheel. I'm sure they don't explain anything.
No, just a wheel.
Just the wheel. So, what's the name of the book again?
Atlas of the Heart by Brene Brown.
Okay, that's really cool. I might have to put that on my Audible list. I only have a couple more credits left until they renew again.
Hmm.
So I'll probably just be
I was
creating a list.
I was referred that book by a really good friend, and I was struggling with putting things into words or really knowing what I was feeling. So it was just constant either anger, happiness, or sadness. And she had steered me to that, and it really helped if I am angry at somebody. Am I really angry? Am I envious? Am I this? Like it makes you think about where the emotion's coming from and is it just anger? And how can, because most of the time it's not just happy, sad, or anger, right? That's not usually it. There's the little offshoots and the little sublets in there. So yeah, it really helped me get through and process what I was going through to get me through a lot of things because when you know what it is and you can define it, you can work on it.
It's awesome.
I like that.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So the next book club, which will be, it's going to be pre-recorded. So it won't be live for those who will watch. But the topic will be it's free choice. So we're going to pick a favorite book.
I already have mine.
I have mine. I already read it,
Yep.
and I'm really excited because it's one of those things that just might bring joy to me, Denise. I'll have to sit and think about that. Okay.
Like, what does joy feel like?
Well, just thinking about that, right? So the first thing that popped to my head about joy, right? So come on, show yourself, Pooh. This is Pooh Bear. Pooh Bear sleeps on my bed with me. And at one point of the night, he snuggles in where we're back to back and he snuggles into the crook of my neck doing it. And when he does it, because he like bumps up against me to do it, I feel honestly, I feel joy.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Hmm.
But to put that into
Joy
words,
sits Joy
what's
sits
that?
heavy on my chest. Joy sits heavy on my chest. So like
Okay.
even on the way home today, we did I put feelings into my body as well. And when we were driving home today, we did like a little family vacation. We took the cousins and the littles to a water park, indoor water park, and we did all the things. And driving home, Dylan, 15 now, well, chose to ride home with me and is sleeping. And just watching him sleep, like just looking over and seeing him sleep, nothing exists outside of that. It is just a whole body feeling, but it's light. It's heavy but light at the same time. Like I can feel
Mhm.
it. It's not heavy like my anxiety or any of that. It's light and nothing else exists. That's when I know that it's true joy for me. Hmm.
Okay.
If you think about
So
it.
all
Yeah.
right. So Sacheen will give me the link so I can include it
Yes.
into the show notes for this. And thank you for watching, and we'll see everybody. Well, theoretically, we'll see.
In 2 weeks, theoretically.